This is our daily vlog. This is Dave Lockwood with Remove It Pros, and today is July 4th, and we're going to do a company function. We're going to be involved in a parade with a church that we're involved with, and we do a lot of donations to them, and we help them out with their one of their ministries. Interesting vlog today in a couple of ways. One is the junk removal book that I'm writing. The further I get along into it, and the more things that I've been researching and stuff like that, I really think that this might have some traction. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. It's a pretty simple thing, but you know, I think everything's simple when you know how to do it. So the way we've been doing this, and the fact that we've been doing it and it's been working, is the key to the whole thing, because I think a lot of people are going to think that it's too much work. So, you know, maybe it is. I don't know. But I do know it's interesting information. It's definitely something good for everyone. You know, it gets one customer, it gets them a better price, and another customer, it gets them something that at a more affordable price. And ultimately, it saves our resources, because this stuff gets at least another run around the track instead of just heading to the landfill. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's absolutely unbelievably amazing personally, but that's me, and I'm not a normal guy. You know, I'm ambitious, and I want to have some impact in my life, and I think that this is just it's a delightfully interesting surprise in my life that I found this little thing that we do, and that we do it with the spin that we do it. The book is done, at least my version of it. I gave it over to something called KDP with Amazon, and they will, for a fee, they will finish the editing. They will put it together. They will put it into 3 formats and put it out on Amazon and promote it. So I think it's pretty awesome that you can do that. And then they do something really crazy, which I never knew they did. They print it on demand. So you don't have to go out and spend, I don't know, however much money you would have to spend to do it, to print all these books and then send them to all of their warehouses. So it's pretty freaking unbelievable. So I got that, and then we had something happen yesterday. Let me tell you the story. So I get up in the morning. I'm riding my bike. It's the phone rings at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know that there's a problem. So it's Talon. He says, "Hey, somebody gave us a 2-star Google review." And you know, we mind our Google review stuff and police it very closely, because it's important to us, and we know that it's a key part of our growth, and it's a key part of our business and our word of mouth. So I get the 2-star Google review. It's one of the neighbors to a high-rise that we're tearing down, and the high-rise is 7 stories tall, and it's not something that's a really unbelievable thing to do to tear this building down. It's nothing really. It is very tall, and we got to be careful, but it's not a big deal. But he's telling us things like, you need to share your demolition plans with us, and you need to, he just went on and on and on and on and on about all this stuff. And, you know, you guys are inexperienced in doing this, and all these other things. And I'm like, you know, this guy don't know anything about us. But so at any rate, instead of, you know, I've learned through my mentors, reading my self-help books and stuff, I've learned not to meet this with force, because what we're going to do is we're going to end up with a fight the whole time we're doing this demo. So what I did is I contacted him. First thing I did is I got a hold of Google, and I flagged this 2-star Google review, and the first line of it said that he's never done business with us. So that took care of that. So that was off within an hour. But out of the spirit of good business, I went down there. I called him up. I texted him actually and said, "Hey, let's meet up." So I met him there on site, and him and one of his neighbors. And his concerns are valid for him. They're not really valid from the standpoint of doing this every day. He doesn't do what we do, and I don't know what he does for a living, and I wouldn't know a thing about it probably. So I met him and I talked to him, and I said, you know, his house, believe it or not, is across the street, and it is a good 300 feet from this property. Now, I thought he was the next door neighbor who has a multi-million-dollar house right on the beach, who is within about 75 feet of this building. Now, the building is every bit of, 75 or 80 feet tall. So, I mean, in a catastrophic situation, that building could fall over and hit their building. The way that we tear them down and the way that they're built, they don't come apart as a big structure or lean over or anything. They're built, they're concrete. They just don't come down that way. You just take a piece off at a time and drop it down. It drops down, 6-7 floors until, and it hits the ground. So basically, I explained to them, they were concerned about dust and all this stuff, and I explained the whole process to them, and it was a fairly positive situation. It kind of pisses me off that somebody's sticking their nose in my business, but so I met with them, met with the neighbor. So here's the rub. Here's what they were concerned about. They were doing the beach re-nourishment, which means they're bringing sand back to the beach, and they were doing that for a long time. And there was a park next to this place. Since this is called the Strand View, it's on Fort Myers Beach. And there's a park next door to it called I think it's Newman Park. And there was a historic home there. Somebody donated their house and they turned it into a park. Very cool. But the hurricane, it was framed, it destroyed it. So it's gone. So the renourishment company used the park to put the sand. So they brought in like hundreds and hundreds of dump trucks full of sand, and they dumped it there. And then they had this ginormous excavator, way bigger than the ones that we use. It's probably a 4, 5, or 6, or 7 series, which means it's a lot bigger than what we have. To give you an example, our machine's a 55,000 pound machine. That one was an 80,000 or more pound machine. It just gigantic. My truck would fit in its bucket, and I got a pretty good sized truck, pickup truck. So what was going on while they were doing the demo, every time the operator hit the ground with the bucket, they could feel it. So they thought that this building, as we were tearing it down, was going to do the same thing. And I don't know. I talked to him, and I just explained it wasn't going to happen. So I just like, guys, look, first of all, if you were right next door, okay, maybe. And I explained to them that when we're in Naples, we have to do the seismic monitoring when we do the demos down there. And it costs like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to do this. And I said, and every time we do a demo down there, the seismic monitors don't show any sort of activity that is significant. And I said, this building to me is no different than tearing down this building right here, which was a house next door to his house. I said, this building it's just a house. It's just a really big house, okay? And it's no different to tear that down than to tear this down. Do we need some sort of a specialized demolition plan? I said, they just don't have that. We don't have demolition plans for this stuff. The plan is go slow, keep people out of the way, and the building tells you what you have to do to take it down, because you don't know until you get into it, and then you just be careful, and then we spray it with water to make sure that the dust is down. They were worried about asbestos and some other things like that, and there were inspections done, and there's no signs of asbestos. So that's it. I mean, so instead of talking to me, of course, I have good gatekeepers. My office staff, they keep people away, and so I don't get caught up in nonsense all the time. And so maybe they couldn't get past the gatekeeper. So his response was to give us a 2-star Google review and just to lambaste us. So Having dealt with this kind of stuff in the past, I don't know what we're dealing with. They left there. I said, are you satisfied with what our discussion here? Are you happy with what we have discussed? Is there anything you want us to do? Within reason, we would do it, because we just don't want to have the discord. I also said, I live on the island. I care. I called you up and I met you down here. I didn't have to do that. And so what do you want to do? So it seems like it worked out great. He didn't offer to take the Google review down. He didn't know that we already had it knocked down. I mean, we have authority with Google. We've been working with Google for like 25 years. So when I go to them with something, typically they respond, and they respond in our favor. I mean, we spend a lot of money with Google. I don't know that really matters or anything, or if it's just because the rules are the rules. But in this case, we never did any business with this guy, and he's just a disgruntled neighbor. He's disgruntled before he should be disgruntled. There's no reason for him to be disgruntled for at this point. So at any rate, that's the story of the day. What's the moral of the story? What would you say? What could I learn from this? Here's what you can learn from this. When these situations happen, don't fight with the people. Go and talk to them. Let them. Most of the time, they're just people that nobody listens to, and I think there's a lot of people that nobody listens to. And if you just listen to them and let them get it out of their system, a lot of times they feel better, and then they don't feel like they need to aggravate you during your whole process. For us, this is going to be a month or 6 weeks of tearing this building down. They wanted to know all kinds of things. I don't know. How long is it going to take? I don't know. But I also pointed out, said, look, guys, look at your view. I said, let's say tomorrow somebody buys this property. And I explained to them that the property was on the market for $11 million. They're tearing it down because the structure is bad and there's nothing they can do about it. And that the way that the construction was done on this building is not the way, is not the ideal way that it would have been built. And therefore they didn't want to fix it. And that they're going to split up the amount of money amongst all the owners, and the owners might end up being whole on this, other than the fact that they don't get to use their property for 2 years while they're figuring this out. And they were satisfied with that. The building is on the market for $11 million. And I said, look at your view. You're going to have a view. I said, if today they come in and somebody buys it, it's going to take them 45 days to 6 months to close. Once they close, they have to design it, or they might be designing it while they're closing. Then they got to go to the city, and they've got to get the city to agree to whatever they want to do. Then they've got to go in for permitting. I said, you're talking 2 years at the minimum, probably 3, 4, 5 years you guys are going to have this view. Your house is right there. There's nothing between your house and the ocean. Free ocean view for 5 years. What do you think about that? Would you like it sooner, or would you like it later? Because if you create enough problems and the city decides they're not going to let this be torn down because of whatever reason, now you're going to have this dilapidated building sitting here for however long it takes to do it. And I said, Fort Myers Beach is they're on point right now. They're pushing to get everything finished up and torn down and cleaned up, because you know what? The first step to the revitalization is to clean up the mess that was made. Oh, by the way, we videoed this. They don't know it, but we did. We videoed it, and I had two mics in my pocket, and and we videoed them from the building. And in the state of Florida, I can do that. So I don't know if you can do it anywhere else, but you can. So as long as one of us know that we're being recorded, we're allowed. Unless you're going to tell me something I don't know. That's what I've been told. So at any rate, it's Remove It Pros Demolition, and we'll see you on the next video.